I'm going to be doing the post about why we decided to choose our questions for both the Vox Pops and the interviews. For the Vox Pops, we decided to answer only 2 questions. This is because obviously it was in public and we didn't really want to waste anyone's time, and we wanted to have as many Vox Pops as possible. Our first question was, do you think that the prices of food affect the types of food we eat? We decided to ask this question because obviously our documentary was on about how prices of food affect the types of food we eat. So that one was kind of self-explanatory because that's what our documentary is about, and we want to see what the public's opinion is of it and if they agree with us. Our second question was, if you had to pick from chips which were £1.30 and a salad which was £3.50, which one would you choose? And from the answer they gave us, we would be able to tell whether they agree with our documentary or not. So if they said the salad, for example, they wouldn't really agree because the price didn't really affect them. But if they chose the chips, because it's cheaper and it's an unhealthier option, they would agree with our documentary. Some of them also might say that they'd want the salad, but because it's too expensive, they'd have to go for the chips, which again agrees with our documentary. So we did 2 expert interviews. One was with a biology teacher called Amy and also the head teacher called Paul. So with the interview with Amy, we decided to ask her 4 questions. The first question was, from time at college, have you noticed any increases in the prices of food? This will be able to tell us, because obviously we're only college students and we've only been here for about 1.5 years. This will be able to tell us whether this is a continuous thing or if it's just happening recently. The second question we decided to ask her was the same as the Vox Pop question, which was, do you think that the prices of food have effect on the types of food we eat? Which again, we're hoping for the healthier is more expensive kind of answer, or to see what our own biology kind of teacher would say. The third question we decided to ask Amy was, what effects do fats and sugars have on students and what would you recommend them to eat? From this we can get a biology expert's perspective on it, and also because she's one of our experts for a documentary, she can go into detail about what kind of effects the food has and how it affects our body. This makes our documentary seem more interesting, and it'll seem more realistic because people will believe it and hopefully gain more information on it. And also by her recommending what to eat, people who are watching the documentary can compare their own diet and their own lifestyle to what the expert is saying. The fourth question we decided to ask her was a personal question, which was, do you yourself choose an unhealthy option due to price being an issue? And we decided to ask this question because we want to see if she also agrees with our documentary, like herself, not just a biology kind of expert opinion, but her own views on price of food. And the last interview we did was with Paul, and we decided to ask him 5 questions. We didn't want to include loads of questions, but we didn't want at least more than 3 or 4. The first question we asked him was, does he eat college food? This gives us an indication if he spends the money on the expensive food or if he spends money on the healthy or unhealthy foods at college. The second question we asked was with both the other 2 interviews, what his opinions were and are on the prices of food. This enables us to see if he agrees with our documentary and if he thinks the prices of food at college is quite expensive, or alternatively if he thinks it's okay. The third question we asked him was, do you think what college is selling is appropriate? We decided to ask him this question because we want to know if he agrees with them selling unhealthy food at these cheaper prices, or if college should be selling healthier food. So we want to see what his own opinion was of it, because at the end of the day he runs a school and his opinions matter. The fourth question we asked, again which links into the other 2 interviews we did, were, do you think prices of food affect the types of food we eat? And from there we can see his opinion on it. This links into the other 2 interviews we did, because if all 3 of them agree with that prices of food affect the types of food we eat, hopefully that will give us a closed narrative structure for our documentary, because all of them are saying one thing, and then we can conclude our documentary by saying that prices do affect healthy foods. The last question we decided to ask him was, we wanted to see why he used an outside company for food, because outside companies usually they do use unhealthier food. From the research that we've done, we found that they do have unhealthier foods and their prices may be higher for like healthier food. We want to see why we didn't have the own canteen staff making the food from scratch rather than using an outside company. So those are the questions we decided to ask for our documentary, and we think that each individual one is important, helping us in our documentary. Whether that makes people agree with our idea about food prices being expensive or whether or not they don't agree, and hopefully that can give us a mixed opinion and make the documentary seem more interesting, entertaining and more informative too.